Hello and welcome to the channel. This week we're gonna have a look at the Musashi, the 1350 kit from Tamiya. We have a huge box that hardly fits the table, as you might expect. And this is what it looks like from the inside. As you can see, I already removed all the plastic bags, so we can have a look at all the parts and all the sprues in detail. Little detail from inside the box. I noticed that on the kit of Tirpitz, where it's written Tirpitz/Bismarck, and here obviously Yamato/Musashi. Let's have a quick look at the manual, the typical Tamiya thing. We have a little bit of introduction, brief history of the ship, some tips about tools and how to do the whole thing, and the instructions itself. Nothing out of the ordinary here. And some of the little extra parts here. These should be the decals for the walking path, the pedestrian path on the main deck. Some screws and these little rubber caps to hold the gun barrels in place, I would think. And some flags for decoration. Let's go over the sprues very quickly, at least like in the general view. Maybe I can show you some of the details. We'll change the camera, but here we have propellers, stuff like that. Some of the guns are actually a little bit damaged. Like here, it's a little bit bent. Well, we can fix that later. And here we have some of the bigger parts. The biggest part of the superstructure here. It's a lot of detail already molded into it, so that is nice. And this is, I assume, is the rear deck where the hangar is. Speaking of decks, let's see where the main deck is. It looks like this. Try to flip that a little bit so you can see there is wooden structure on the main deck, like all the way here, and this is supposed to be steel because that's where the aircraft lived. And this is still taped. That's the forward part, again with some interesting structures in there, even from the molding process, but I think that should work to have the wood stick out somehow. These are supposedly some of the newer parts that have been added when the kit was modernized, so the must parts are very fine and thin, so that looks nice. That should work somehow. And here we have more artillery, some aircraft. That should do it. A double set for anti-aircraft guns, lots of those little robots, and the main artillery. These should be the barrels of the big guns, including blast bags, so that's Nice. Well, we don't have to do those ourselves because I'm very bad in sculpting. The base, somehow in black plastic as always. Again, the main artillery, part 2. And a lot of small parts. Smaller anti-aircraft guns, lots of little davits and stuff for the boats, and the smaller anti-aircraft guns, which actually look very nice. I would think that these are again newer parts that have been added later. They look nicely shaped and modeled. Hold on for a second. So let's get a little bit closer. We have the small single mount anti-aircraft guns, little turrets for the bigger ones, the davits and stuff for the boats. So that looks very nicely molded. That should make for a nice kit just out of the box. The big turrets, the main artillery. And one more time the funnel and the main part of the superstructure, the tower for bridge and whatnot. And of course the biggie, the hull itself, that doesn't fit on the table or anywhere, but you can see there's some detail on that thing as well. Nice and clean, shiny. Little bit of cleanup on the bottom, but that should be easily enough to do. Here you can see the molding of the battery, so maybe I would put a little bit of putty there, but a part of that, from that, sandpaper should do the trick. I'm dry fitting the propeller shafts here, so that the whole thing is kind of aligned. It's not perfect, but it should work somehow. So something like this, and we have propeller shafts. Need them props as well. And some craftsmanship involved, drilling out the holes for the rudders. Okay, I just installed the rudders, and we have here the little baby rudder. I'm not sure if that would do anything. And this here is obviously the main thingy, but still it's 70,000 tons of a battleship, and it's incredibly long, like 260-70 meters, 860 feet. How do you get that thing around a corner with one rudder? Japan, I have a question. How did you do that? What were you thinking? Okay, this would be the easy part. The question is, how exactly is it supposed to work here? It's a very large gap. Is it supposed to be like that? Should I push it further out? It's a little bit questionable right now. I would probably just not glue it on this side too much and see if there is an answer to that question later on. So it looks a little bit like antique oil drilling rigging, but that's a crane. And it's okay. I mean, this part here, it's, yeah, why not? What I don't understand is the other one here, like, why? If it would be made the same way these parts are, it would look a lot better already. I mean, it doesn't have to be photo etched all the time, but 2 of these to replace the arm, I don't think that's too much to ask for, but well, they didn't, so we take it as it is. And those are probably the doors for the hangars. I just leave them like this now. Might be an idea to have them opened, but well, we just leave it like it is. Moving on to artillery. Finally some parts on deck. Now I skipped some of the smaller parts of the hull and stuff like the davits for the boats and things. I think that should come later. First of all, because I'm very good in breaking stuff like that, and second, because of painting. So I cheated a little bit until now, but we're getting there. So that's the 2 of the main battery turrets and 2 of the secondaries are done, and that was, let's have a quick look into the manual. This is step number 9. Build 2 of those turrets. Okay, I did. Now if I would skip forward a little bit to step number, what's here, 27, I'm supposed to build the whole thing once again. So maybe it's a mix-up or something for the different versions, being Musashi or Yamato. Maybe that is what caused this. I don't know. Anyway, I thought I skipped some things, because now there would be a lot of davits and the little anti-aircraft guns to be mounted, like these steps here, and I would definitely do that after painting. So, and as I said, I'm very good in breaking things, so it's gonna be the superstructure, the bridge, and whatever else we will find out. Never ends with small parts, so we are going on with the anti-aircraft guns, and actually I still did not even glue the deck to the hull, but on the other side it would probably be very quickly going together once all these parts are kind of prepared. And more anti-aircraft guns, which I think is, I'm still undecided if they are more like this Art Deco stuff or from some kind of spaceship maybe. They look really different compared to everything else you might find on a battleship, so kind of cool, at least for the look of it. There's a lot of stuff already prepared, and I think that's enough for today. I might just assemble some small parts and just start cleaning up these thingies for today, but nothing major until tomorrow, I would think. And of course there are more little parts that want to be attached somehow. So I didn't count, but the whole tower thing consumes a lot of little thingies. So finally it's time to glue the deck into place. I think that is really the next step now. So I dry fitted it couple of times. Now we just place it. So bit by bit pieces come together, and more of these sub-assemblies are piling up. And once all the parts are prepared, one has to somehow throw them into the ship and lose them, because why not? And more gun directors. One can only wonder if they had more gun directors or guns on the ship. Probably one control unit for each and every gun. At least that's what it feels like. So, and the rangefinder on top of it somehow. And here we go for another round of cleaning up all the little parts. Next round of sanding and cutting and filing until we have all the stuff that needs to be placed on the deck. While I was on this and looking at some extra info on the ship, there are nice like 3D models and things like that. I noticed that it is pretty hard to get in and out of Musashi. It's not only that there are no doors on this model, there seem to be, well, not too many doors in the entire ship to get out from the conning tower to the main deck or something like that. So I wonder how they operated that. The entire ship looks very, very clear and clean, and there's not so much small stuff attached to it. When I was looking on things like the tirpitz, there are hatches and doors and I don't know, rubber hoses and ropes on every corner, but not on Musashi. That's very, very clean ship where you wonder, is anybody ever going out? Or were they just sitting inside all the time? Part 1 of the collection. The second part. I did some preparation, a little bit off camera, because this whole painting of the bottom thing, the hull is a little bit too big for that, I think. But as you can see, now it is masked off. The lower part is now hull red, dirty red, whatever. So I should be able to spray the upper part, and I would do that as soon as I figure out which color I really want for that. Here we go. Ship is painted, at least it has a base coat. It has the red bottom. I try to not shake the camera too much. So this is what I can do on a weekend. It's now like 8:30 or something in the evening. That's 2 days of work, just assembling the kit and give it a base coat. So next step is probably a lot of airbrushing, weathering and all the stuff, painting a lot of details. So there will be a follow-up, I guess.